Welcome to another episode of Founders Club. Today we're going to be talking to Eddie Speed. He is the founder of NoteSchool, and he has done over 50,000 note deals over his storied career. We're going to be talking about how you can make more money by investing in notes, how landlords can increase profits by holding the paper, and how real estate agents can get more listings using this strategy. As always, make sure you check out the links in the description below. And if you like money and you like real estate, hit that subscribe button, give us a like, leave us a 5-star review, and we'll see you on the inside. Welcome to Founders Club, the show for real estate entrepreneurs. All right, today we've got Eddie Speed on the show. Very excited to be talking to this man. He's done over 40,000 note deals, and he's going to be breaking down exactly why investing in notes and seller financing is one of the best investment strategies moving forward. Eddie, welcome to Founders Club.
How are you?
Doing great, doing great. Thank you. And we were just kind of talking before the show. We've got a lot of mutual friends in terms of, boardroom mastermind and collective genius. So just shout out to all those guys.
Yeah,
And again, excited to jump in with you.
I'm glad to be here.
So first things first, why don't we just start with real kind of high level on why note investing over traditional real estate investing? What took you there, and what are the main advantages?
Well, you see this gray hair, right? So I've
Yes.
been doing this for 45 years. So I started in the business in 1980. And seller financing was really a big deal back then, or certainly buying notes were, because property owners were forced to seller finance to have any sort of affordable financing for the buyer because interest rates were 18%. So
Yeah.
I started in a real inflationary market, and I've surfaced all the way around that over the years.
Very
So,
cool.
uh,
And so that being
we're
said,
back, right?
yeah, today here we are again. Interest rates are on the higher side. Thank God they're not at 18%, but they're definitely higher than they've been in a long time. And so, how should we be looking at note investing and kind of seller financing moving forward? Why is it such a big opportunity?
Well, I think if you really look at the market, there's three elements that jump off the page at me, and just comparing, like, compare a note transaction to a rent house, right? So if you did those three comparisons, a rent house is pretty stressful. The cash flow has essentially been cut in half since the virus, right? The net income, and there's not a cushion. So if something goes wrong with the rent house, you're the one writing the new check.
Mm,
If you look at a note, it's way less stressful. You can do 10 times the deals, not maybe 20 times the deals, with the same level of work you can to have rentals, right?
mm,
Just way less work. Right? Cash flow on a rental, if you seller finance your current rental today, you can about bank on the fact it can make about 2.5 times the net income you are renting today. Right? If you buy a note, you might make 3 times the income compared to taking the same money and buying a rental. And
mm.
then the last thing is the cushion factor with notes, because obviously if you buy a note, you're not buying that note for what the property cost, right? If you bought $200,000 on a note, the property might be worth $300,000. So there's a cushion factor with buying first mortgages that is not the same as having a rental. That's why I like it.
Yeah, I like that, and I've talked to a lot of people that are very successful in the note, space, and I think it's just the idea of just holding the paper as opposed to having to hold the asset, having to manage the asset, having to pay for upgrades. When you hold the paper, you just hold the paper.
Well, we had a very disruptive thing happen to the rental market called inflation.
Yeah.
And you remember this back when all this first started, inflation started going up. All these people were getting on these Facebook pages and they'd say, look, the ultimate thing you need to buy is a rent house in inflationary times. And I'm like, that will not prove to be true. And the answer is it wasn't true, because expenses went up about 2.5 times more than rents went up. Well, that's
Yeah.
not a good direction.
That's not good for business.
It's not.
No. So what sort of, I think let's break this down into kind of the note piece and the seller finance separately. So maybe we start on the note piece.
Okay.
What sort of returns are you seeing in terms of like, buying a note and just holding it?
So let's just say that you go buy a first mortgage. We generally see people buying first mortgages today at probably a 10 to call it 11% yield. That's it. That's a good grade of note. That's not a risky grade of note or junky piece of property. I don't deal in that. I mean, I've done this for so long. I know the asset class that will perform, and I stay really disciplined to stay in that space. And that's basically what I teach people to do.
Okay.
And we'll, we've created a marketplace. So we're very, very well known, particularly in the seller finance space, probably the largest buyer of those kind of assets in the country on an
Wow.
annual basis. And so we've created a marketplace, and
Mm.
students will come to us and get involved with us and say, oh, then they say, well, wait a minute, can you help me find a note? So that's kind of how that starts.
Okay, so you're saying 10% is a pretty conservative number, which is a number that we like on this show. So tell me about kind of the process. Like, how does one go about buying a note?
Well, the very first thing you do in any investing strategy, it's all going to be the same. You have to have a blueprint to evaluate the risk and what variables you're betting on and what's the likelihood that what you're thinking is true. So if you buy a note, what's the likelihood they're going to have the default? Well, I think you can underwrite a loan to about a 3 to 5% default factor. You're not zero. You'll never do that, but you can underwrite to about a 3 to 5% default factor. So the likelihood of having a problem is pretty low. So it's
Mhm.
8 or 10 times less than a problem with a tenant. And so that's the first thing is that it's likely to perform. And then the second thing is, what's the underlying collateral? What's the paperwork look like? Is it compliant? You know,
Mhm.
and it, you're gonna have a service. So, what's that going to look like? So those are the elements that really that just the basics of going into a note. Um,
Yeah. I,
we've evaluated so many tens of thousands of notes. We got a pretty good system to show people how to evaluate a note.
Very cool. Yeah, I would imagine that uh, borrower default is probably worst case scenario if you own a note.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're underwriting against that. And we can go a little deeper on that in a minute here, but like, where does one go about buying a note? Like, if I decided, Eddie, I love what you're saying, I'm going to go try this buying a note thing. Where do I go to make that happen?
Well, there's various levels. Obviously, you can, it's a courthouse research, so you can clearly go buy a list, but that's pretty hard work, right? You go out and drop a list, and people call you, and I want to sell my note, and they don't know it's supposed to be discounted, and it's kind of a tug of war, and it's not everybody's wired to go do that or has the time to go do it. There are
Okay.
platforms, there are Facebook sites that people talk about. I've got a note for sale. I operate on this premise. There's about 100,000 seller finance notes generated per year, right? Now I'm in all these masterminds, all these guys that you and I mutually know. I'm on stage on a regular basis, going up there saying, "Let me help you with a formula, with a recipe to go create seller finance notes." So I work with them to go create notes that are a better grade of note,
Okay.
an institutional grade. And so that's how I bought 50,000 notes, is because I was good at developing a system so people could manufacture the right kind of notes. And so I
And
come
go
from
ahead. Yeah. Yeah.
them how to make good notes.
So on a high level, what does that system look like? Give us a taste.
Qualify the property, qualify the neighborhood, qualify the buyer, have the right terms of the note, have the right paperwork, have it compliant, have it serviced. It's not brain surgery. It's just originating a loan. I
Okay.
just teach people how to. A lot of people seller financing are kind of guilty of doing it like in a homemade way. And what
Hmm.
I do is teach them how to have a system where it looks more like mortgage banking paper, and a lot of which I help them with vendors to go do that. So they don't have to be a genius to do it themselves. I can connect them with the right vendor so that at the end of the day, their paper is created in a higher quality manner.
Okay. So trying to understand, like, is your ideal customer someone that wants to sell their property with seller financing? You help them turn that into a note and then either hold it or resell it? Is that kind of the model?
It is, but I generally am helping them keep income on the note in the future too. So there's various ways you can do that. If you create a note and the payment was $2,000 a month, you could sell $1,500 of the payment a month and keep 500. So there's ways that you can do it and keep long-term income and still go recapitalize and have enough money to pay off the underlying mortgage and do all that.
Hmm. Yeah, no, that's very interesting. Okay, so that being said, the main way that you're buying notes is finding people that want to sell or finance and helping put the deal together. And then it sounds like being a quote unquote, equity partner on the payment piece with those people.
That's right.
Very cool. Very cool. Okay, so now let's talk about, let's say we've got someone that's interested in doing that, seller financing, creating a note. We want to help them figure that out and help make money on that. How are we purchasing that, or how are we inserting ourselves to help facilitate? Hey there, I just have a quick favor to ask. If you're getting value from Founders Club and you're watching on YouTube, just give us a like, hit that subscribe button. If you're listening on iTunes, leave us a 5-star review. These things are free to do, and it really helps the channel. And it also helps us be able to bring better guests for you in the future. Now back to the episode.
So once again, I think it starts out with the most entrepreneurial concept known to man. Find an industry problem and solve a problem, right? The
Okay. Yep.
industry problem is landlords aren't making money. That's the industry problem. Now, not
Yep.
necessarily in San Diego, but let's just say most of the country. If you took a rent house in 2018, if you paid cash, you'd make about 8% interest per year on your investment, net income, right? And
Mhm.
right? Take the same identical house today, and you're going to make a 4 cap. So
Very interesting.
landlords aren't happy.
Yeah. It's gotten tougher. Let's put it that way.
And these are people that are buttoned up. Like these are people, like when I talk to the guys that have fractional CFO businesses that like come to Collective Genius or come to Boardroom, like people that are tight with their numbers. These are the numbers they're telling me. I'm not making up numbers. I'm repeating what guys that have hundreds of clients that are
Yeah.
specialists in helping them analyze their numbers, and they say our guys aren't making money.
Yeah.
One of them is a super smart guy named Marcus Krigler. He's in Collective Genius with me. And I saw him post on Facebook this morning that bonus depreciation doesn't work if you're not making money.
Ah, yeah. That's a good point. So, okay.
True to that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So one thing that I have heard you now say twice is that you're able to help landlords make more money. And I think that has my ears and our listeners' ears perked up. So let's talk about how you're helping them make more money by putting a seller finance deal together as opposed to just remaining a landlord and or traditional sale.
All right. So let me give you a couple of analogies for a minute because I want to kind of get the frame right to kind of think about this. Let's just say that I was a farmer, okay, and I have a bushel of corn, okay, and I'm looking into the marketplace of who's going to buy corn from me, who could really pay the most for my corn, who could make the most money taking my corn and doing something with it. So I
Hmm.
could sell it to a restaurant and they could make corn bread or corn soup, right? Or corn chowder or whatever, right? But I would say that you could that is not the highest and best use for that corn. Highest and best use for that corn is probably a bottle of Pappy Van Winkle.
True.
It's all corn.
Yep.
So understand that I look at a rent house and think that when people see a rent house, they think they're stuck where they're at. And that's because they got to see past that you can make more than cornbread with that corn.
All right,
Okay.
so let's break that down. How do we make the whiskey?
All right. Well, you have a rent house and you, instead of renting it and paying all the expenses, you sell it and people's mortgage payment is more than they're paying for rent. Same house, same deal. Their mortgage payment is going to be 10 to 40% more than they're paying for rent, depending on where and what.
Mm-hmm.
Wait a minute. Who are they paying? A bank?
Yeah.
Why don't you just be the bank?
Yeah.
You know, when your air conditioner breaks in your rent house, do you call the bank?
Nope.
So once again, you are moving from the mentality of I'm going to rent it and pay all the expenses against it to now I'm gonna sell the house, be the lender, be the seller financer, and I'm going to carry the payments. And I'm just telling you, mathematically, it's going to be 2.5 times the money you're getting right now.
Yeah.
And
With 10% of the brain damage.
well, I tell people you can own 55 rentals or 1,000 notes.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. So that brings up another question of like, who is the ideal person to do this? Is this someone that owns a property cash? Let's talk about that. Who is the, ideal avatar for something like this?
So that's why I'm giving people a recipe of how to make their note, how
Okay.
to qualify their buyer. I'm going to plug them in with an underwriter. I'm going to give them an underwriting matrix. I'm going to tell them the terms to create the note. I'm going to give them a process, including vendors, so that they can do this. At the end of the day, I can simultaneously come in and buy a piece of their note with enough money to pay off their underlying mortgage. So, wow, I don't have an underlying debt. And all of a sudden, they can, depending on how they want to do it, and there's more than one way it could be done, but they can keep part of the monthly payment, which is going to be way more than their rent that they're keeping right now. And people say, yeah, but I'm going to get appreciation. I'm going to get this and that. And I'm like, anytime you can double or triple your income and you're going to get paid with tomorrow's dollars versus today's dollar, the calculator is going to tell you it's way in your favor to take the money today.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. A bird in hand.
Well, it's just present value of future dollars, like it's real, like it's mathematically provable. And I do that at a deeper level, obviously not today, but yeah.
Okay. So it sounds like they don't necessarily have to be free and clear properties. Is there an LTV maximum that is kind of we should be keeping in mind?
I generally tell people you need to get at least 10% down. And in most cases, you can get a bigger down payment than that. Let me give you a framework of who your competition is. If
Okay.
you're the bank, who's your competition? Fannie Mae?
Yeah.
Freddie Mac?
And private lenders.
Okay, well, let me tell you the underwriting standard. The underwriting standard according to Mortgage Bankers Association, is called the Mortgage Credit Availability Index. So it's an index, and they tack a score to it. The day before the virus started, it was at 185. Today it is at 95. That's how tight conventional lending is.
Wow.
So it's not hard to think that there's some people left behind that would be excellent candidates for me to seller finance.
No, that makes sense. Okay, so then how do we go about funding these deals? I know that you have a funding service, but what are some kind of traditional ways that people fund a note purchase if they don't have the cash themselves?
Well, the one thing that people don't know how to do is they don't know leveraging techniques with notes, right? Everybody with a driver's license understands you can go borrow money against a rent house, right? I mean, it's that common.
Yeah.
But mortgage banking and people like me understand that there's recapitalization techniques you can use with notes. I mean, I bought
Okay.
50,000 notes. Surely nobody thinks I bought that with the money in my wallet.
Right.
You got
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So I
Yeah.
use the same techniques. And once again, this is why I built a school, is because I've started realizing while it's common to me and maybe common to you, it may not be common to most people. And I just show them techniques. And as you said, private capital. I show people there's billions of dollars in private capital that are really not deployed today. Look at the self-directed IRA industry.
Right.
I mean, literally about a third of that industry is sitting in cash. People have self-directed IRA money and it's dry cash. That's because they don't know what to do with it. So I show people techniques, and I do have banks and insurance companies too, but I show people techniques so they can recapitalize.
Okay, can you share one or two of those?
The techniques.
Yeah, why not?
All right, I'm gonna take a swing at this. Is a little hard to do, but I'm gonna do my best. Okay,
All right.
that's a timeline
Okay.
that represents 20 years, and pretend there's a hash mark, and for 220 months, 240 months, right?
Okay. Yep.
And there's a payment of $1,500 a month every month, and I buy that. I buy that for $140,000. Okay,
Okay.
so I buy that. I'm buying 20 years of a payment stream of a first mortgage. So my end result is I get a payment every month for 20 years. You got it?
Yep.
I buy that for $140,000, which is a market price. That's a real thing. But here's what I'm going to do. I turn around and find somebody with a self-directed retirement account that doesn't want the husband's already been told by the wife, if you buy another rental, I'm going to kill you or divorce you or both. Right? It's that. So they come in and buy 12 years of that note, and they write me a check for $139,000.
Ah, okay. So then you're getting cashed out
I have
and they're buying the
I
stream.
have $1,000 invested for the back 8 years of that note at $1,500 a month, and that's a real deal. I've done that countless times. Call
Wow.
it more than 1,000.
No, that's amazing. And so the person that comes in with the 401k money that buys it, are they buying the next payments or the last payments?
No, they're buying the ensuing. So because
Okay.
once again, I did that in a retirement account scenario because I don't need cash flow today. I want
Yep.
growth.
Yep. Yep.
I bet you some of your real estate agents would like that.
Yeah, I think so. That's why I keep digging a little bit. Um, so very cool. So, okay. So what would be the exit strategy, or is it just building a cash flow portfolio? Is that kind of the name of the game?
Well, once again, there's wealth strategies, and what I just showed you was a wealth strategy.
Right.
I could do an income strategy where I go borrow money against the note,
Mm,
right? And my lender gets part of my payment every month, and I keep part of my payment every month. So there's different ways that you can do it, and that give you. I always tell people, like, show up and tell us what it is you think you're trying to accomplish, and we can back into showing you which model might fit that the best. We probably have literally 6 different strategies that we call financial modeling. I showed you one of those. I just showed you was one of those strategies.
no, that's great. Yeah. And if you want to go deeper with Eddie on that, go to noteschool.com/founders club. He's done something cool for us. So definitely go check that out if you want to dig deeper on that. Next thing I want to ask you about is how do you deal with the non-performing notes? Once someone stops paying, how often does that happen? I assume you're underwriting really tight to make sure that doesn't happen. But in the event that does happen, what do you do? Hey, real quick, we are growing our nationwide real estate team and we are looking for agents and brokers who want to be a part of it. To learn more, visit 100commissionrealestate.com. That's the number 100commissionrealestate.com, or send me a message on any of my social media accounts. Links in the description below, and we'll look forward to talking to you. Now back to the episode.
So the one thing that I'm pretty much going to insist that you do is have a loan third party serviced. So you have a
Okay.
loan third party service, because that means that any compliance or any reporting or any of the things that need to happen that a servicer is obligated to do, they know to do it. You may not necessarily know to do it, or you don't want to do it. It's just not you. I don't service my own loans. And so I just tell people but if I have a loan for that, then that servicer is going to have, they're going to have uh, some asset management tools that are in place, right?
Got it.
They're going to have a default system to work from, including an attorney or a network of attorneys that handle foreclosures. So if I own a loan and it's in Utah, right? I don't need to know a lawyer in Utah.
Yeah. No,
Right?
that makes total sense. Yeah. Essentially, it's just like buying a house and putting a property manager in it. You're buying a note and putting a loan servicer in it.
That's it. And then the loan servicers hiring vendors that need to do certain things. And of course, as you know, it's not going to the moon to go sell a property anymore. There's all these platforms and stuff that properties bring pretty crazy money. So it's not like years ago, like, oh my God, I had to foreclose on a house in Utah and I have no idea how to get rid of it. It's not that anymore, right?
Right.
And you
Yep.
could just call and have it listed with a traditional realtor. So we kind of weigh it out as to which one we do. I work with a lot of realtors. I would say that probably 40% of my highest end members in NoteSchool are realtors.
Yeah. I believe it. Because they're in the trenches and they probably come across a lot of these situations.
Well, you know what? There's two reasons a realtor hangs out with us. First of all, they don't have a great retirement system, and we're very good at showing how to build retirement owning mortgages. So we're pretty good at that. And the second thing is that scenario that I described to you and that frustrated landlord, realtors listings are down, right?
Yeah.
So what do? Well, one of the things they could do is they could go then, and I'll help them with how to position it and how to say it and how to communicate it. But we help a realtor then go out and find landlords and say, did you know you could do this? How many realtors are going around San Diego telling people how to do that?
Very few, if any.
You got it.
Yeah.
And but I look at it and think, look, our mutual friend Kent Clothier, he has a saying, right? You've probably heard him say this. When you're a hammer, everything's a nail.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So when it comes to seller financing, I'm a hammer.
I love
And I
that.
think in terms of how seller financing can work. And there's times that it doesn't work and it's not the right way to do it. So seller financing does not solve every life problem, but it is very effective for people that are landlords, and because of expenses, inflation has thrown their cash flow out of whack, and they're not making near the money they used to, probably half. And because of that, I know that you could lay a seller finance model against that house, and you're usually going to like the results. So
Yeah.
a realtor has a completely different tool to go find people that would sell a house and show them something that they never would have thought of.
Yeah, no, I like this. So let's stick on this for a minute. So I'm a realtor. I have a, network of people that I've sold a home to the last 10 years. A percentage of those is they own it as an investment property. I can now go to them and offer, hey, I can show you a way to make more money on this property. What is the play there? Am I getting involved in the note purchase, or how are we getting
A listing. You work a listing. And it's possible that, in most states will allow this, that you can also make a fee on flipping the note to somebody like us. But you can certainly go handle the closing and the listing. And
Got it.
let me say this. You know this to be a truth. There's 20 different databases that I can go get a list of landlords. It's a no-brainer today to go
Yep.
find more landlords that I can go get in front of.
Yeah, no question.
I was doing for your buddy Jason Medley, right? Yours and my buddy Jason Medley. I just did a title today for what I'm going to speak on at their next event. And it's net 2.5 times the income on your rentals. That's the time, and I'm going to show that. I'm going to actually show how that works. It's not a false statement at all. It's just shocking because people, once again, they still see that cornbread. They don't see that Pappy Van Winkle bourbon, right?
Yeah.
And so, but once again, I look at it and think, how many times in life has somebody pointed out something to me that to them was super obvious, and I was looking past it because I wasn't necessarily a specialist in thinking about it. So I just see myself as a specialist that prompts people into seeing something a little further than what they normally would have thought about it.
No, that's great. Yeah, no, for sure. So the play there is, if I'm a realtor, I can say, I can help you sell your property with seller financing and show you how to keep the paper. I'm going to make the regular listing, and you can potentially help facilitate on the putting it all together piece.
And including if they have an underlying mortgage, they can sell part of their note with enough money to pay off the underlying mortgage. So you've got a solution there either way. And we've built quite a system around that. And we feel like I was in a meeting last week, and somebody says, because I'm really like, I think the landlord problem is the biggest problem in my career that I've seen that seller financing solves a gigantic industry problem. There's 20 million rent houses, right? And most landlords aren't walking around there skipping thinking this is great right now, right? So there's kind of a problem. There's an industry problem, and so once again, if somebody says, "Well, Eddie, how many notes do you think you could create?" And I said, as a result of this industry problem, I think it is not unrealistic that I could be accidentally responsible, meaning that I help you, and then I help some of your agents, or then your agents help their clients and stuff. I think it could be more than 100,000 transactions. I'll tell you one thing: it could change the Realtors 2026.
Yeah. No, what a great opportunity. That's really very cool. So is this like a thing that is cyclical? Like, is this better when rates are higher, or can you do this in any market?
It's just the perfect storm. Rates went up, property values went up, and expenses went up. It's just the
Yep.
perfect storm. So if you'd asked me 4 years ago, I'd have laughed and said, no, not every deal's going to work or whatever. Now, today, we built templates and models where we can load numbers in it. It kind of spits out the numbers. And it's pretty shocking today how oftentimes it's the answer. I don't say it's 100% of the time, but
Yeah.
it's crazier than ever was. And it's because of this perfect storm.
Yeah. Yeah. It sounds like a great opportunity for the next couple of years, no doubt.
Well, people say, so when's it going to change? I said, rates going down don't change it.
Right.
Expenses on rentals going down is what changes it. And I don't see that too close in the future.
Yeah. Yeah. No question. Very cool. So that's amazing. So, couple more questions as we just wind down here. What sort of technology are you using on a daily basis that makes your job easier or makes your life easier?
Airtable.
Ah,
Our company uses Airtable, and we coordinate with the closing company that we deal with. It uploads into a kind of a proprietary system for disseminating notes to our audience, that people that want to buy notes and stuff. But it's a pretty crazy good tool.
awesome. Airtable. Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And then in 60 seconds or less, what does it take to be a successful at putting together note deals and seller financing?
Doesn't take 60 seconds. You have to understand the recipe.
Love it.
I broke it down to a recipe, and if you don't do the recipe, you're not likely accidentally to do it right. And that's
Love it.
that's why I built a school, is because I saw so many deals where they didn't have the recipe right. And once they do it, there's nothing hard about it.
Very cool. Yeah. So you've given us a high level overview today. I certainly appreciate that. For those who want to go deeper and check out Eddie's school, it's noteschool.com/founders club. Definitely check that out. And at the same time, if you like money and you like real estate, make sure you hit that subscribe button, give us a like, leave us a 5-star review, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks a lot, Eddie.
Bye-bye.